What's up, y'all? So I'm back with another feminist reader video. I am so sorry for not posting for the past 2 days. If y'all watched my life videos, then you know I'm going through a lot. But I have my book right here. Did some very heavy annotating and highlighting today. This is the Feminist Theory Reader book that I'm reading. And today I have to go page by page. And this is what I've realized because these pages hold very, very large amounts of detailed information that I have to dissect, especially because some of the words I don't even know, you know? And that's okay. I feel like I'm a very open person, and a lot of the things that I've noticed in the world is that when somebody doesn't know something, we shame them for it. But why do we shame them for it? That's showing that we have insecurities within us. And instead of shaming them, we should teach them, you know? So, here are some of the definitions that I'm going to be using today and that I also want to explain. And I have my iPad right here for my side notes. So, if you see me on my iPad, that's why. But first off, homogeneous. Homogeneous means of the same nature or similar nature. So, like, for examples of feminism, say somebody grew up in a predominantly white household, they won't have to think outside of the box or outside of their lifestyle because the people that they've seen around them, are white people. And I feel like homogeneous people are kind of like not a problem, but a hindrance when it comes to feminism, because it's like there's so many women in the world, and there's so many different races, and there's so many different sexualities that in feminism you have to think about that. The next word is, and I kind of already knew this, but I just wanted to reiterate and write it down, imperialist. So when I went on my dictionary on my iPad, the definition was super long, but what I got from it was an imperialist is someone that uses power to dominate over another group. So like I feel like that makes sense. I don't have to go into detail about that. And then the next one, please correct me if I say this wrong, hegemonic. So the definition that came with this was strong influence or authority over others. So a synonym that could be used is domination. And then I gotta search up, hold on, I gotta see how to pronounce this. Self-aggrandizing, I'm pretty sure. Self-aggrandizing. Yeah, let's see.
Self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, self-aggrandizing. So, self-aggrandizing, the definition is acting or intended to enhance one's power, wealth, status, and, etc., etc. This word, I really like self-aggrandizing. I might have that as like my word for the day because it's like, wow, a lot of the people in power today have self-aggrandizing traits. Hopefully I'm using that right. But moving on to what I've read in these 2 pages today. And as you can see, I'm on page, well, you can't really see. I'm on page 18 and 19. Like I said, I'm going page by page because, like, these pages hold some very important information. And it's like, I was doing, in my last couple of videos, I was doing like 3 to 4 pages, but it's starting to get deep, y'all. It's starting to get deep. But the main topic of today is difference, and I have this highlighted on my paper. I'm going to read what the book says in terms of difference, okay? Difference. As the preceding discussion indicates, difference was articulated not only as gender difference that united women as distinct from men, but also as an index of incommensurability among women of different races, classes, ethnicities, and sexualities. So, as you could see, difference does not just mean what women differ from when it comes to men or in the lens of men, but also how women differ from each other when it comes to race, class, ethnicity, and sexuality. Right? And there's a lot that comes with that. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about, or when I was explaining the definition of homogeneous, because it's like there's so many things that come with feminism. There's so many different perspectives that women have that it's like when you only grow up in one way, you only think in one way. And I was talking about this in actually both my life videos and my previous feminism videos, because this is like one of the major things that I like to say and think is that you have to think in different perspectives if you want to grow and evolve. And at the end of the day, humans are meant to grow and evolve. So it's like when you don't put emphasis on that and you don't acknowledge that we're supposed to grow, you keep yourself in the same place mentally. And the thing is, it's not even a mental thing. You're holding yourself back, and we are all a part of society. We basically are society. And when you don't do the deed of growing and evolving and learning from the mistakes that you make, you do a disservice to society and the growth of society, you know? So take that into account. I take that into account a lot. But if you're not questioning yourself and challenging yourself, which you need to be doing, you are holding yourself back from a greater point of view and outlook on life. Take that into account. But there were some notes that I had for today, right? This was really good. As you saw, and as you can see right now, I have a lot of pink. The pink is what I agree with. The green is like people's ideologies, you know, like say like right here, I'm going to use this for example. It says Elizabeth Marr, who directed the arguments against the hegemonic feminist subject, woman of color. Wait. Yeah. But like, sorry, that kind of didn't make sense. But like, it's kind of like explaining what a person believed in, you know? And then the yellow's interesting. And then the orange is like, I'm low-key confused. And the blue is, I'm not going to lie, the blue is kind of like just highlight it when you're reading it and you just need something to highlight it with, you know? But like I said, I had some notes on my iPad that I wanted to go into because this got deep, and I feel like a lot of the things that were talked about today, like it talks about the hierarchies within feminism and within like women in general, you know? And it's really interesting, you know? So I'm just going to start with reading what the first quote that I agreed with. Moreover, women of color argued the exclusive focus on gender universalized the particular experience of white, middle-class, heterosexual women residing in the global north as the normal/normative situation of women in general and dismissed their experiences and perspectives. And as a woman of color, I definitely agree with this, you know? And I just want to start off with a warning though, or like just something to say. Like if you're a white woman watching this, I feel like one, if you are offended by this, then something inside of you is telling you that you need to work on that part within yourself. And two, it's kind of like I don't want you to feel offended, you know? And I'm already doing a disservice to myself and to women and like to black women by having to explain things like this because it should be the norm, but it's not, so I'm going to explain this. I feel like if you're a white woman and you go through sexism, I understand you in that lens, but when it comes to the sexism that black women face, when it comes to work especially, you have to take that into account. But not even just work. You have to take in the lifestyle that we lived and the lifestyle that our ancestors have lived to get us to this point and where we are within feminism and sexism and racism in general. Like, if you're a white woman, I feel like and this is only an opinion, and I always say this, when you tell people that they need to do something, they're going to be like, I really don't want to do this. But for the greater good, and because this is my opinion, I'm just going to say I feel like white women should be taking the steps to understand what black women and women of color have gone through, because it's it's not happening, it's not happening like how it should be. But back to this quote, honestly, looking back in like the 1980s and the 1990s, when feminist icons like Elizabeth Cady Stanton were like leading the feminist wave, I guess, or that feminist time period, it's kind of like, okay, I get it. In that time period, white women really were the only people that could, go out and like protest and talk about these things, because black women and people of color and women of color did not have that opportunity or that chance to. But it's kind of just like, dang, like we started with a hierarchy, with the top of the hierarchy, with the top of the middle class women starting, not kind of to me, starting off, and I still have more research to do, starting off the feminism wave. I don't know what to call it. I talked to you guys in my last couple feminist videos about how the term feminist waves disrupts how much was going on within these time periods. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I still have to think about that. What would you even call it? I like to say feminist time periods, because waves really does disrupt like everything that has happened, and because the school systems and our education systems really only teach what I'm talking about, the middle-aged white woman's perspective of feminism, then I mean, yeah, sorry y'all, it's a lot to think about, and my brain is like an overload right now. But I feel like this still happens today, like we'll see a lot of predominantly white feminists talking about their experiences, which is 100% perfect, or not perfect, but 100% okay. I feel like everybody should have the chance to talk about what they have gone through as a person. It's just when you get to the point where your privilege really shines through when you're speaking about that. But y'all, it's just a lot to talk about. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And the thing is, I feel like I'm the type of person where I'm very affected by these things, and like the overall energy, vibe, mood, or attitude that these things hold. And it's kind of just sad. It is kind of just sad, because it's like, dang, like we've made so much progress, but there's still so much progress to go or to experience, But let me read this part that really stood out to me and I really do agree with. And this is like really what I want the video to be about. It says, please excuse me if I pronounce any of these words wrong. In an early example, the women of the Combahee River Collective argue that the conditions of our lives result from the synthesis of simultaneous and interlocking systems of domination based on racial, sexual, heterosexual, and class oppression. By the 1990s, multiracial feminist theorists conceptualized interacting oppressions that compose our lives as a matrix of domination. In this view, specific locations within the matrix consist of specific simultaneous effects of this view. These complex locations can include combinations of both privileges and oppressions. Yet these insights will come later. So basically that's saying that there are systems of dominations, basically hierarchies, within feminism that are based on racial, sexual, heterosexual, and class that can be framed in a way of oppression. And not can be, but are. And I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense. I feel like the quote made it make sense. But it really resonates with me because it's like there are multiple things. This is my luggage back, y'all, back here. Don't mind. And I said I'm moving out. I really don't care. But if you're wondering, that's what it's there for. Because I am going to Germany for the next 2 weeks. But yeah. And this is what I like. In this view, specific locations within the matrix consist of specific simultaneous effects of multiple systems of oppression. I agree with this. There are levels to oppression. And like I was saying, those levels consist of racial, sexual, heterosexuality, class, and, status and all that type of stuff. Like, Black women don't go through the same thing that Asian women go through. Asian women don't go through the same thing that white women go through. There's different levels to it. And I feel like we just, as women, need to acknowledge each other more. But I just want to say heavy emphasis on white women. Actually, no, heavy emphasis on just women in general. Because there are a lot of ignorant Black women that only think in the terms of, oh, I'm a Black woman, I've experienced this. And don't even get me started on the Black community's racism towards Asians when it's like, especially like Indians. Like, it is absolutely crazy. Like, and when you look back in history, especially, and what I'm thinking about is the movie Sinners, Asians were not heavily, but they were in the Black communities when heavy segregation and Jim Crow were still alive and implemented. And I feel like Jim Crow is still kind of implemented, but kind of like subconsciously. I don't know what's a synonym for subconscious? I don't know. But like, like in the background, in the cracks and the crevices, But like there's levels to this shit, bro. There's levels to this shit. And it really just makes you think, I think I'm going to maybe start to end off the video. But every single time I say this, I have like 10 more minutes of things that I need to talk about. But I always love to end off with a question, And I feel like it's kind of similar to the questions that I've had for you guys in the past couple of videos. And that goes with my life videos and my feminism videos. Actually, it's a whole bunch of questions. Hold on, y'all. I actually had some more questions. I had one question in here that was like, hold on, let me read it. Okay, it kind of helps, yeah. So, think of an area in your life where you are privileged, because everybody is privileged in one area of their life. Even if you're going through some fucked up shit. I have to say it. There's always pros that come with the cons. There's always cons that come with the pros. Think of an area that you're privileged. And if you're watching this video, then you're privileged enough to have something to watch this video on. Imagine the people that don't. Imagine the people that don't have access to videos like this, because they don't have the money and they don't have this and they don't have that, Think about that. How has your privilege in, say, the area in your life that you're thinking about, how has that affected you as a person? And how has that affected your outlook on life? And I'll answer that question for myself. So I would say I'm very privileged when it comes to getting things that I want when it comes to money wise and just making sure I'm taken care of in general. Like when I want something, like say I'm going to the store and I want something, like usually my family is there and my mother and my stepfather are there to be like, you can get this, you know? You can get this, you know? And although like money is still a problem, like because I feel like everybody is tight with money. Like, you know, like everybody is like, well, not everybody. I feel like a good amount though. And that's a whole different topic. But I feel like for me, like I'm just going to use like the Wi-Fi as an example. Yesterday when I was at one of my appointments, there was no Wi-Fi and I literally got so frustrated cuz I'm like, my phone's not working. My phone's not working. But when I look at it now, it's like there are people out there that don't even have phones. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like there are people that don't have access to the internet, you know? And I feel like another thing that I'm thinking of right now, I'm the type of person, I want to work on my fashion sense. Like I want to be fashionable, but it's like I feel like everything that I buy just goes against each other because there's so many different versions of myself that I have in my head. But I'm privileged enough to even be able to go out and buy the clothes that I have, you know? And have the closet that I have because like I said, and like we all know, there are women and men out there that don't have the chance or the money or really like just the chance to or don't have access to buying multiple clothes. So you heard my response. Think of your response. If you like to journal, journal on it. If you like to just think about it, think about it. But I would say speak out loud. Speaking out loud really helps you organize your thoughts and really helps you understand yourself as a person. But how has your privilege affected you and the way that you look at the world, you know? And if you want to take it a step farther, how does your outlook, and this takes some accountability. So if you're still working on accepting things and knowing when you're in the wrong, I'd say just focus on the first question. But how has your privilege kept you from thinking about how other people deal with these things, you know? Or I feel like there are better ways to put it, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I have only had tea and I have not ate anything. It's 10:47 a.m. Cuz I've just been reading and like drinking my tea. Listen, if you're a tea lover, we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength. I've said this in my other videos, but I'm a tea girl. I am a tea girl. Like I love tea so much. What would I do without tea? What would I do? Genuinely, what would I do without tea? I don't know. Tea is what eases me into the day, helps me think when I'm in the day, and helps me close off my day. It helps with everything. Like, I'm a tea girl. But, yeah, like, how's your privilege made, whoa, I'm struggling right now. How has your privilege made you ignorant to the struggles of people that don't have your privilege? That was good! That was really good. But yeah, like just think about that, you know? Just think about that. But that wraps up. I'm so proud of myself. Y'all, I have been procrastinating making this video. And the thing is, I've had the time, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of lied to myself and to you guys, and I'm sorry, but I said that in my last videos, like, I didn't have the time to record. I did have the time, but if you have looked at my life videos, then you'll understand that these past 2 days have mentally been a lot for me, but I could have just pushed. I should have just pushed, and I could be on day 5 of my feminist theory reader videos. But everything, you know, shit happens, y'all. Shit happens. And I apologize to you guys, and I apologize to myself because, listen, shit's hard out here. If you watch my life video, especially the part 1, which was the backstory, then you understand. I drove 2 hours to Chattanooga just to miss my flight because Delta misconnected my connection flight. 2 hours back to go to the airport when my mother booked me a flight that we weren't going to be able to make after missing the misconnection flight. And it was just this whole thing. But yeah, bye guys.